Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Manny Talks Shooting is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns. Did you know that Phil the Groundhog isn't the only thing Puxatawny, Pennsylvania is famous for? That's right, D2 Custom Guns, the home of Dan Heizenreiter and one of the best, fabulous 2011 builders in the country. So make sure you guys go check him out, D2 Custom, anywhere you can see him on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, go check him out. If you see myself, Patches Reader, anyone with the D2 Custom Guns, make sure you go check him out, and you will thank me later. Now, let's get on to the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet for you because that's how it has to be, and it's another episode back-to-back. This show is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns, so go check it out, d2customguns.com. Order a gun from Dan. Tell him Manny sent you. Get in the queue. Get that gun before next season because it is the off-season for 90% of us, so it's going to be fun. But anywho, without further ado, we're going to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who lives only 8 minutes away from the Cardinal Shooting Center. It's my buddy, Justin Skeens. How you doing, Jeff, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I spent a rare day away from Cardinal today. I was dodging raindrops and decided that I can do cold and I can do rain, but I don't like to do both.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We tried to stay inside. We did a bunch of running around today, and there was a few crazy, silly people who went out and shot Steel Challenge at one of our clubs, and I was like, yeah, no, no, thank you. I don't like Steel Challenge enough to go shoot it in the rain.
I like Steel Challenge, but this year I've actually started to like USPSA a little bit more. I think I'm starting to learn the game a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Steel Challenge. I will shoot Steel Challenge probably once a year, and that's about it. Just purely because I'm like, well, I'm not a steel shooter, and I'm like, I don't like shooting this 5 times in a row. Can I just do my best one of and leave? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we've actually got one more monthly Steel Challenge match that popped up at Cardinal for next weekend. So we're gonna shoot that, and I think that's gonna put a nice bow on the season, and I'm gonna be done with it.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. Now, just before we get too deep dive into it, we'll talk about everything here about shooting and everything. But so people know you who haven't met you down there. Who are you, and how did you get into shooting?
So, as I tell people on my channel, I'm Justin Skeens. I'm your friendly neighborhood firearms instructor. I am a multifaceted NRA instructor, and that was kind of how this iteration of my shooting career started. Um, as far as how I got into it in the beginning, so for me, this is kind of a complex question, but in the beginning, I was given a single shot rifle, 22, and a box of shells from my grandfather and given the safety briefing of don't shoot yourself. So as I got deeper into the sport, I wanted to provide a little bit more than that for folks that were getting into shooting and give them kind of a safe avenue to be able to learn and explore.
Yeah, and that is cool. And it's the nice thing is you found a way to give back, another multiple ways to give back, but being able to educate people on firearms and a safe instruction. I do. I'll talk a little bit about your grandfather and his safety brief of don't shoot yourself. I mean, it was back in the time of Darwinism, right? Like everyone's like, it's like don't mess up.
100%. That was an entirely different time. What I took away from it was that for me, young people or new people that are getting into guns, I think that it's better for them to be able to kind of explore their curiosities under the guidance of someone that's more experienced and can avoid those safety issues. And I personally believe that if we just teach people right from the beginning, they're going to be set up for success far more than if we just turn them loose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Yeah. If you give them good quality instruction, it's going to be they're going to stay within the firearm space and be able to enjoy it more and be less frustrated. I find that there's a lot of people out there who don't get any form of instruction or good knowledge base, and they feel very frustrated, or they've got the well, I'm a pretty good shot. You've always heard that, right? I'm a good shot, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be on the range with you. I haven't seen you shoot, so
Yeah, and so that's always kind of a nerve-wracking thing when you've got somebody that you don't know that you're going to have them handling a live firearm next to you. It's always nice to maybe do a little bit of dry fire practice first and kind of sort some stuff out before we start introducing live ammo.
oh, 100%. So with that single shot 22 from your grandfather, did you then like move into a hunt? Like, did you hunt growing up, or was it more of a plinking atmosphere?
So I never really did a lot of hunting. Um, just really wasn't something that we did. We literally grew up probably as close to the Cardinal Center as I am now. I actually grew up in the same township that I live in now. And my brother and I were probably the closest things to cowboys that you were going to find in Central Ohio. We were on horseback from daylight to dark. There wasn't much that we didn't do. We would put a garden out and we would use the horses to plow the garden. But we spent a lot of time on horseback and just, in all honesty, the gun just kind of became like a pocket knife, really. It was just sort of an extra tool that you kept with you. But we would we would start off planking and it started off with pop cans and then it went to bottle caps and before long you're trying to shoot kernels of corn at 50 feet and it's just something that we did to see how we could push ourselves to be better and that's we spent a lot of time out back of the barn just kind of plinking away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of remember some of those. Once a year, my mom on my one of my mom's side of the family, her so my uncle, his family they were massive. They had like he had 7 brothers and sisters, and everyone, of course, of them had 3 or 4 kids. So it was a massive army of people. You throw the clay thrower out there, and we just go plink with the shot. Throw the shot, the birds out and try to hit the shotgun, or they'd line the pop cans up on the fence row and.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of cool. So you said you were the closest things to cowboys in Central Ohio. Um, have you ever watched the TV show Yellowstone?
Yeah, I've watched some of it. My wife is convinced that she's married to Rip.
Well, I mean, you could be the Ohio Rip. There we go. It's okay. I'll let Laura live that fantasy.
Yeah, I've calmed down a lot over the last couple years.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But cowboying is like a dead art though too, though, right? Like if anyone's watched that show, I mean, it kind of shows a little bit of that. It's like it's everything's too modern for most people nowadays, and it's like you forget the simplicity of life.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was obviously on a whole different scale, but I mean, we did have cattle and we would work the horses on a regular basis. We would break horses. Sometimes the horses would break you.
Mm-hmm.
That was just kind of how that worked. It's weird how an animal that's, 10 times your size can have an opinion and it doesn't line up with yours.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So what on this farm, you were obviously was it just a cattle farm, or was there vegetation grown too, or no?
So our property was actually pretty small, but we had an abutting pasture field that we had use of. So we spent a lot of time out there riding about and having our own little adventures. There was a creek and some woods back there, a hill that I actually fell down when the girth strap on my horse's saddle broke. That was a fun one. But yeah, we would put out a garden pretty much every year. And then there was a time period where we would contest horses. I personally never did, but my mom and my brother did. And the closest that I came to it, we were trying to play the pickup game where you come riding by and cowboy jumps on behind the rider. And I managed to get bowled over by a quarter horse and rolled through the dirt. You kind of learn how to just roll with the punches, so to say, when that happens.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. Rough and tumble, and it's one of those f around and find out kind of situations, right?
Well, you learn to be tough real quick.
Oh yeah, especially when you got a horse like that, like
Right.
like tiny person, big horse.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't get squished by big horse. So, getting back a little bit into the firearms space. So, when did you So you grew up, you did the shooting from recreation. Like, when did you first like taking self protection or concealed carry seriously for yourself?
So that kind of goes back to my early days. So a lot of folks don't know this about me, but in all reality, I am a survivor of domestic violence. There was a fellow that was introduced to the household when I was younger. There was some physical and mental abuse that went on for years, and it eventually all came to a head. And I realized how woefully unprepared that most people are when it comes to dealing with something like a civil protection order or something like that, and what little that piece of paper actually does for you. So that changed my mindset a lot. Like I said, that was my younger days. I was probably 15 or 16 when things all kind of came to a head there. And that sort of drove me towards learning more about firearms and the self defense side. And then I started to look around at some of the options for training that were out there. And I'll just say that I was less than impressed with a lot of the options that were out there. So I wanted to see things more in of a dynamic type environment. And so as I was kind of growing into the instructor type role and in that more formal role, I started to realize that drills are cool, but in the real world, things move much, much faster. And so the violent encounters that I have experienced in my life, uh, I've experienced a lot of that. And I get some of the same physiological effects out of shooting, say, USPSA. You get some of that heart rate increase, some of the tunnel vision that happens, and some of those things. So when I first got introduced to that, that was definitely something that I utilized to try to really push the skill set and basically learn how to shoot faster.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm taking some notes so I can remember to talk about some of this. But okay, so
Yep.
um, so you said you didn't like what you saw out there, right? So
Mhm.
and now is it just more of because it was a lot of classroom time, not actually much gun handling, and like, or is it just oh look at what I can do, kind of things back then?
So Um, a lot of the experiences that I had, and when I talked to some folks that went through some like concealed carry type courses, the information that was given was extremely basic. And more often than not, you'd have instructors that were imparting their own personal opinions into things, whether that was a brand bias or some thought processes that my personal experiences showed me doesn't work terribly well. So that was kind of what I looked at, and the handful of classes that I attended because I did my concealed carry class, and then to get my basic NRA instructor uh, endorsement, I had to go through the class as a student again. So I sought somebody out to be able to do that, and I just saw that it was really extremely basic, and there really wasn't a standard that was set for what a passing score was. It was pretty much you got up there and you shot 50 rounds, and as long as you didn't shoot yourself or the instructor, you were good to go. And I thought to myself that there's got to be a better way to this.
Oh, I definitely agree. Yeah, exactly. You go through those license to carry or CPL, classes, and it's like, did you hit the paper?
Mhm.
Did you shoot a 22 at the paper? Yep, I did. Okay, there's your stamp. Go talk to your county clerk, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I kind of agree. There should be some more of a threshold on that kind of stuff, not to stop people from getting their CPL or their CCW, but a litmus test of like in reality like marksmanship or accuracy other than I have all day to shoot this thing. I mean, and that's
Hmm.
kind of the cool thing about USPSA is right. There's the time factor, right? Like,
Hmm.
yes, you can take 1,000 seconds to shoot the stage, but and get perfect alphas, but your score is going to suffer because you used all the time in the world, right?
Yeah.
It,
Well, and I think another aspect of the USPSA thing is sometimes I think people forget how to move when they get a gun in their hand.
mm-hmm,
So when I watch somebody, if you can get a classification, I don't care what classification you get in USPSA, that shows me that you can safely handle a firearm in a
mm-hmm.
dynamic environment because you've got ROs on the stage with you. They're watching for any kind of safety infraction. and that tells me that you are capable of being able to safely handle that firearm in a not static environment. So I think that that's sadly above where a lot of the requirements are to get your concealed handgun license.
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, like one of those things that I've been working with Annette. You know, she'll dry fire from time to time. We'd go to the range when it was a little bit better weather. It's just moving with the gun, right? Like it's one of those things. Like she'd move with the gun, be very pedantic on it, and be like just
Mhm,
not running very well. But it's like it's okay. You know how to run, right? It's like, well, yeah, I know
mhm.
how to run. Well, okay, just point the gun down range and run, right? Like simple concepts, but it's yeah, exactly. If you can safely get a classification, you know how to handle a firearm, right? Well, and things I've heard over the years too. It's like if you're B class, if you can get to B class, you are a god amongst mortal people who shoot guns, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's something to say, right? It's like the what was it? And then there's like the how many gun or how many rounds of shot per gun. Essentially, there's like some ratio or whatever, like on like factory loaded ammunition or something. Some big ammo company put it out there like every gun owner has like negative 10 rounds or something. It's like, well, I'm glad I am in the positive.
So that's the same thing for me. When I talk to what I would say the average gun owner is, whether it be, work or wherever, somebody wants to talk to me because they heard I'm a little bit into guns. In an average weekend session, I'll probably shoot more than they will in a year.
Hmm.
And we put a lot of rounds down range. And I actually just got to B class in limited optics after last weekend. We actually shot a couple classifiers and managed to come in B class. Wasn't where I wanted to be, but frankly, looking at my major match performances this year, that's pretty much where I am, and it's something to build on.
Well, and we shot some pretty intense, hard major matches down there in Ohio, right?
Yeah, you're telling me.
It's like I mean, like in reality, like and the top shooters showed up regardless,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah,
so that's one of those things too. It's like when the top shooters show up, it really puts a true litmus test on your ability, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's a different story when you go to a major match and some random local guy won the major match, right?
Mhm.
So comparatively, and then say Christian Seiler, who did show up to Area 5 and IMSC Nationals, beat everybody's butt, and you look at your percentage and I'm like, oh, okay, that's really where I'm at because it's not like you're getting because and that guy who say the local guy who won the major match one time, oh, in a previous match, Christian Seiler put 15% on him, right? So
Yeah.
then your ego gets put back down to that normalcy. So we, especially at Cardinal, there's always people there who are big name draws. They'll always come, right?
I cannot remember the last match that we had that we didn't have someone there that was either a contender at nationals or was going to or coming back from worlds.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of the way that it's always been, and that's one of the things that I love about shooting down there is number one, you're going to shoot some of the more technical stages that you'll see,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get some pretty good competitors that are going to show up, so you really get a chance to kind of measure yourself against that. And back in the day, I used to race dirt modifieds, and I always liked going to the big shows because that gave you an idea kind of where you were at, and sort of the same thing with shooting down there at Cardinal is I'm cutting my teeth on, some of the more technical stages, and the stage designers that we get down there, they come up with some diabolical plans sometimes.
Oh yes, they definitely do. They depends on who wants to throw their flavor in it, but yeah, they're definitely not super easy stages. That's for sure. And that's the nice thing too. Your locals should prepare you for state level matches. Your state level matches should prepare you for area matches. Area matches should prepare you for nationals, right?
Hmm.
And that's the nice thing of when you have good local club to build you up for those matches. It definitely helps.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you're like, I touched that one, I touched that one, I touched that one. My
I don't
tractor
even
drove,
think about it anymore.
or you just think about how many gallons of fuel at the.
Oh man, we have probably put more hours on that tractor over there than we have on the farm at this point. We used it quite a bit this year, but it has, in my opinion, transformed the way that we set up and tear down in a good way. Instead of having to handle props by bringing a trailer around and picking them up, taking them out of a Connex and putting them on the trailer, and then taking them to the stage and then setting them down, and then you've got to do the same process back. We can palletize things and just take them over, drop them off, and then when we're tearing down, I drop off pallets at the stages. I tell people kind of what I want on each pallet. We're able to come through and gather those up pretty quick. So it makes a world of difference.
Oh yeah, and especially now that we figured out the palletization. Now that as soon as all the shooters realize how that works, it becomes second nature. They're like, all right, here's the pallet. We put the walls over here. We put all the steel. We put all the hard poppers on here, the plates, the bucket. It just makes it nice and handy. And then they learn, and then tear down super easy. It's not like, oh, tear down. I mean, shooters at Cardinal are very spoiled purely from the fact is when you have a nationals level event or a major, oh, we can leave up half the stages and we can clean it up next time, and it's very nice that the Cardinal Shooting Center allows the Cardinal practice shooters to leave stages up. It's not like, oh, the match is over, tear it all down and start over next time.
Yeah, we've ran into some snags with that this year, so I don't know what next year is going to look like.
Yeah, I think we were talking. I think there's a lot once they let the public back onto those bays, they really don't know what they're doing, and that's the problem. It's a decent sized problem.
Yeah, well, when you're patterning a shotgun on USPSA stages, I tend to get a little bit grumpy.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it's a shotgun facility. Where is the patterning board? Not at the pistol bays.
Yeah.
Like rule number 1, not at the pistol bays. I mean, there probably could be a patterning board over there, but why would you be doing it on like a popper or a state? Like that's what I don't get. Like,
yeah. Well, so I've got contacts over there at Red Feather, so I usually make a phone call and see who's supposed to be down there. And I haven't had a single situation yet where somebody checked in and was down there doing that. So usually they take off when they see the big truck pull in with the trailer.
yeah. They're like, oh no, just in the back, run away. So diving back a little bit to, the NRA instructor stuff, how long have you been doing that now?
So I got my basics of pistol instructor credentials in 2018. And that was kind of the beginning of all of that. Put on some CCW type classes here for Ohio and saw that people wanted a little bit more instruction. So I went further and found an excellent training counselor in Jessamy Bright. She had a huge influence on the Armed Women of America chapters here in the state of Ohio. And I took several more courses with her. So I went on to get my personal protection in the home, personal protection outside of the home, basic rifle and basic shotgun with her. And we had pretty similar group coming through each time. So it was kind of neat to be able to train with folks over and over. And most of what we did there, we actually did at the Cardinal Center on the old concrete bays. And that was when I started to realize how important hearing protection was because those concrete bays echo so much. And when I did the personal protection outside of the home, that was 30 hours on the range to get through that course. And I had just purchased a Gen 2 Glock 23 and was running that thing pretty much all weekend long. And I wound up having to put earplugs in under the electronic ear pro to make it through the weekend because that was really starting to give me a headache.
Oh yeah. Now, did you get to do it on the Cowboy Bay?
No, we were actually right next door to them when we were doing the personal protection outside of the home. So they were having their shoot and they wanted to come down and see some of the stuff that we were doing down there. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I like that there's those concrete bays over there at Cardinal. Like it lets people practice or warm up before a major.
Yeah.
I always get a little discouraged about like how it's left sometimes when I drive by. I'm like, oh, someone needs to go to the sight-in bay. Okay, I'll drive them. I'm on a golf cart. And then you're like, God, why did nobody pick up targets from last factory gun nationals? It's just it's like, huh? Like guys, what? But anyway,
so
it's like
I've been going down trying to mitigate some of that when we've got the matches going on and help the crew over there kind of keep on top of it, because with Area 5 and IPSC Nationals, it got to be quite the mess down there. It literally looked like folks were shooting targets and then just leaving them off in the corner. And the wind over there can get pretty horrendous and move stuff around. And last thing I want is for us to get in trouble for having stuff blowing across the road and getting all over the place. And it just
Yeah.
looks better when it's cleaned up.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is there's a plethora of steel targets out there. Like you can clang a bit, you say, all right, is my dot good? Like, is my zero, okay, it's 25 yards on that small plate. Like,
Yeah.
can I hold a decent group or am I missing more than not? And that's the cool, you can go practice and that steel's all over there. But yeah, definitely, I was just like, what the heck I picked up a couple boxes of like ammo boxes and I'm like, I don't know why shooters do this. Like,
Yeah.
there's a trash can 10 feet from you. Like, I don't get it.
Well, look at how many times that we've had matches down there and people can't seem to understand that there's this really cool trick that you can do with the paster rolls, that when you finish off a piece of or strip of the pasters, that little strip of white paper that's left, the really neat trick is you can take that and put that in the trash can instead of just throwing it on the ground.
Yeah. Well, and this is why I love a paster gun, right? Like,
Yeah.
the tail is so like I guess the tail isn't what bothers me. It's when like, oh, there's one paster left on this piece of tape. I'm just gonna throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, the paster gun, you just rip it off and throw it away. I mean, I did used to have contests about how long my tail could get.
Right.
Like, and then the problem is when somebody steps on it, I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. No, I intend on getting one of those paster guns for the practices I've been putting on over there.
Mm-hmm.
That it helps out a lot. At first you think that it's something that you probably don't need, and then the more that you do it, you think, man, that sure would be nice.
Yeah, yeah. It just expedites a lot of things. You don't have to worry about do I have enough paster? It's like, yeah, you've got 1,000 to 3,000 on a roll on this gun, and you're just pasting away. And it requires less people to go down there, especially like for a stand and shoot. Like a stand and shoot classifier that's like 25 yards.
Yeah.
The person scoring can go down there with a paster gun or someone with a paster gun and paste it up, walk back, instead of having to like pull. It's faster and there's less mess.
I'm all about efficiency.
Mm-hmm. And you have to be like, it's just one of those nicety of life things too, right? Like, can't complain too bad about it, but it's definitely nice. So you said you spent, what was it, 30 some odd hours for protection outside the home?
Yeah. So that course, we pretty much did the classroom portion while we were on the range, and you are shooting drills the entire time. So part of that process of becoming an NRA instructor is you go through the class as a student, and then you go through the instructor portion of it. And there are like instructor teach backs that you do. So one person will be up there, they're going to be the instructor, and then they'll get two students that are with them, and they're also instructor candidates. And so you are teaching the course back to your fellow instructor candidates, and it kind of helps you to be able to teach some of those skills. But me being me, I like to be the one that throws something in there that I'm going to be your basic student. So no longer am I going to be the guy that's out here that spends all of his time on the range. You're going to have to do some instruction with me, because I see little value in it if we all know what we're doing and then we're just going through the motions. So I can get really dumb really quick. And so, never to the side of not being safe, but you may have to give me some extra instruction that is going to frustrate some people, because they're going to be like, I just watched you do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as you said, it does no value on the teaching aspect if it's, oh, I don't have to give any comments, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think more people need to do that. Like, we do that in the RO class, right? Like the cards of, everyone's safe pretty much in the RO class for USPSA, but then you're given the cards of, sweep yourself on the make ready, or, something like,
Right.
it's like, see if they're paying attention, or screw up the Virginia count completely. Like, oh, I was evil. We had an RO class 2 years ago at my home club, and okay, I'm gonna do the Virginia count portion of this stage. Okay, it's one. So I started off one. It was supposed to be 2 reload 2, right? Like, it was like 3 targets. So Blake drill, reload, Blake drill. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and then 8, 9. So then I threw 2 more shots on the last target. Then did a reload. and then shot like extra shots on the other ones. And he's like, the instructor's like, I'm like, sorry, I just decided to spasm and destroy your fun. No,
Right, you're making them work for it.
Gary appreciated the hardness, but it made the students all brain flustered. It was great.
Yeah, well, and you're going to run into that in the real world.
Oh yeah.
Gary did my RO class too. I actually gave him one of the cert stick carbines from Next Level Training.
Mhm.
And so that was something that I brought with me that so we had an extra gun to be able to work with, but then he can do some like PCC stuff with it, and then the gun itself drops out of it, so he's got a Glock 17 clone there that he can work with. But they're great training tools, and so hopefully he'll be able to utilize some of that stuff. But yeah, Gary did my RO class too this past spring.
Yeah, and Gary's probably one of the best instructors we have, and it's kind of it's great because he's kind of local to the Area 5 area. Like it's not that far for him to get to Ohio. It's not that far to go anywhere inside of Michigan for him. So, like a good plethora, a good source of knowledge that is useful.
Yeah, and he's really no nonsense about things, but he'll explain it when you need to, and that's something that I can certainly appreciate, especially for folks that are going to be the next group of officiants that are going to be coming through. And as an RO, it's our job to keep everybody safe, but then to make sure that everything is equitable.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly, and and another thing from it too is it's like. Even if you're just being a local RO to someone who just wants to learn the rules, or the guy working the next major match, like there's places to come from.
Mm-hmm.
It always is interesting to hear the story. So, well, back at my club, this happened, and it's like, oh my god, like I always get calls from my buddies who are newer ROs, and they're like, hey, I've got an RO question. Can you take the call? Because it's usually one of the clubs I don't venture to, because I like to have a little bit of non-shooting portion on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't go to. It's just the weekends I choose to shoot, or the weekends I choose to shoot.
Right.
So, and they're like, so this thing happened at the match today, and well, I'll give a good example. So this buddy just called me yesterday. He was at a local range. The stage, there was a shooter shooting the stage, and his arm and gun got caught up in a port. And when for some reason on this stage, how it was designed, he got hung up in the port, and he severely broke the 180. The shooter stopped himself, like he stopped, but the RO did not call a stop. So he asked, as he was a spectator on waiting to use the bay, he's like, at what point is a spectator allowed to call a stop for a safety infraction? I'm like, always.
Yeah, everybody can do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, especially when the shooter knew that they did it. It's one of those things like the RO didn't call it, but the shooter knew. It's like, all right, yeah, you definitely should be calling these. Like, if it's okay. Now, if it's, I think he broke the 180. No, it's like you have to know they broke the 180. If you're gonna be the guy from the back screaming stop, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's a safety officer at that point, right? Like, the rule number one is we can have fun, but we need to be safe, right? And we've set these rules out for ourselves as these are what we will have agreed to play by. We shall play by these rules, and if you've broken the safety infractions, you'll get to go home. Well, you can stay, you just can't keep shooting. That's the trick. That's what I want to tell all the shooters. Is like, well, you don't have to go home. You can stay here. You don't have to go home, but you can't pull the trigger anymore. So
yeah, no, that's where you might as well go ahead and take your DQ and go to Dairy Queen and get your ice cream.
But there's not a Dairy Queen close to Cardinal. That's the problem.
Actually, there is. So maybe 20 minutes away down in Sunbury.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That's not that far.
But it's not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's not right there at what is that exit anyway? Mount Gilead exit?
Yeah, so that's the 6171 interchange there.
So that's like Sheetz, Taco Bell, Ohio
Pizza and Prime.
Yeah.
Is that what the name is called? Up the road. Yeah.
Because people call it Legacy. That place.
That's what it used to be, and then it was the Homestead before that.
Oh, okay. So it's Ohio Pizza Prime. Okay.
Yep.
There's the laundromat to wash your clothes. There's 3 different gas stations.
I'm actually amazed they never put a hotel in at that interchange.
I'm surprised too. There's gonna be the shotgun guys who don't want to camp, right? I don't know why Cardinal didn't build their own hotel. They have plenty of land to do it right there too.
I'm still amazed by it.
And then there's what, like 3 or 4 DCs, like distribution centers, like right there at
Yeah,
that exit.
one that's basically sitting vacant right now that's available for lease.
Yeah. What did Dollar Tree or Family go out, or which one? Which one?
Nope. So they're still there, but they built one across the drive from that, and it's so. I used to work at a distribution center, and I would say that this one is probably a time and a half, maybe twice as big as the one that I worked in for years.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody will snap it up, I'm sure. It's got pretty easy access to Columbus from there.
Oh yeah, it's Columbus, and then you see right by, like, I don't know if it's right past Sunbury or between Sunbury and Mount Gilead, that exit. There's always those 2 truck lots are full of, like, and you always see trucks along the road, just like, well, it's time to sleep.
Yep.
No, but where was I? Oh, I guess I'll go with this. So as you talk all the time, you're always at the Cardinal Shooting Center because, as you and Laura say, I'm only 8 minutes away.
Yeah, she volunteers that a lot more than I do.
Oh yeah, she's like, oh, we can be back here. But she's enjoying it now. We went down there for the September match,
Mm-hmm.
and Laura, she shot because she got her purple bullets.
Yep. That was her first USPSA match, so she's always been a little bit intimidated by it, and she made me very proud by shooting her first USPSA match. And part of the deal was, and I've actually got some of them right here, because I made snap caps out of some of them, but she wanted to have her pretty sparkly purple bullets, so I had to make up rounds for her to be able to shoot. And if that's what it takes to get her involved, I am 100% on board for it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And especially the ladies who support us in the sport, like, the more that they want to be there and shoot, it makes it a lot easier to be like, oh, I'll go shoot, It makes you a lot easier to make commitments like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, look
So,
at how much time that we spend there. I mean, so we're doing something pretty special at Cardinal, and I got to throw out a shout out to my guys, Chris Baker and Dave Melvin. Those guys are rock solid, and they put in, I would say, every bit as much work as I do over there.
mhm.
And we are kind of like the three range amigos, as far as your setup and tear down and working matches and all that stuff. So that makes it really easy when you start to kind of build that community where you've got a solid set of people that are around you that, frankly, when we're doing setup, we can get on a roll where we don't even hardly have to speak to one another. We just know what we're doing next, and we can just kind of make that roll through. And it's such an easy process when you've got a really good group like that.
Oh, yes. When you don't have to babysit anybody, everybody knows what they got to do. It makes things a lot easier. You
Yep.
don't have to, as you say, you don't have to communicate because you're like, there's the grunts of,
Yeah, pretty much. We all turn into Tim the Tool Man.
Yeah.
But then we've got some newer guys that are coming along. John and Dane have been coming out and helping us. So when we get into a spot where we've got help like that, we can start to finish up one bay, and then somebody can move on to the next one. We can start laying out fault lines, or we can start roughing in, target positions and stuff like that. And it just makes it so much easier when you've got a group that you can work with like that, and you can count on these guys, and everybody's got eyes for one another. So if you see something that's a little bit off, we'll kind of pull back and we'll look at it and we'll make adjustments as needed.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
And the big thing that we run into is somebody has to keep an eye on the clock because we'll be there well past when we should, still just hammering things out. So we've got to have somebody that'll call timeout and be like, let's come back tomorrow and finish this up.
Right. Well, and the nice thing is you're all relatively close, and it makes it easy to tackle it, right? Like, Dave kind of works from home, doing what he does. You find up all the time to not be awake or not be asleep. And Chris works at odd second shift life, so you all make it work, and you're all out there pretty much at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing, we had the whole Jewel log September fiasco there with Area 5 and IPSC all in such a tight window. I literally had other commitments there at Cardinal. So I spent every weekend and every day that I wasn't working at Cardinal from the middle of July all the way through to the beginning of this month. So the beginning of October. between Area 5 and IPSC Nationals. And then I did an intro to competitive shooting for the Armed Women of America state shoot. So that was kind of neat. But that was a really tight window for us. Area 5 into IPSC, we were literally tearing down Area 5 and we were doing prep for setup at the exact same time. Like we were prepping things to go in as we were leaving for teardown. And that turnaround, I had it marked on my calendar all year long. And I don't know exactly how the heck we pulled it off, but we did. And I think the key to that is that we're badasses.
Oh yeah, the efficiency, and it's just like whoever decided to put that on the schedule needs to be slapped. I don't know who. I'll blame Corey. Corey will get slapped for that one,
That's
or not checking or not catching that. Like 2 weeks is not enough time. Like I know Matt Hopkins would have loved more time to get it flipped around, but it. And I mean, I was supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to be there. I got called in at the last minute, like, we need you to be there for the match. It's like, okay, I'll be down there Thursday night. I didn't even shoot the match. And I was there for the weekend, and oof. It was like, especially coming in, I'm like, oh wow, this is. There was no wall bases to be found not used. All the spikes were gone.
Well, we thought we ran out of a lot of stuff, and I found a bunch of it down on range 4 at one point, but we did wind up running short on some materials there. I think I love what IPSC Nationals was, and I love what Matt did with the stage design and everything, but I don't know if somebody handed him a list of what props we had, and he just figured we would use everything. But it felt it felt a lot like that. Those Connexes were about the most bare that I think I've ever seen them.
Yeah,
But
I think at some point, I think when he and Todd did 2024 carry optics, they made like a list of what was there. And of course, I mean, like walls get destroyed, so the wall count could not always be correct. And I mean, I think you even told me you had to rebuild some walls to use them. And
yeah, the last 4 stages that we were getting set up, I was literally rebuilding walls while everybody else was setting up. So as I was rebuilding walls, I was setting them on the forks of the tractor, and they were coming and grabbing them and putting them up. Because I did a count just before we went to lunch on that last day of setup, and I knew we were going to be short. So I jumped up and grabbed all the tools and went over there and started putting walls back together, and it kind of saved us. But that's another one of the things I get to do during the off season here is I'm going to go over and take a look at what we've got there and see what walls aren't worth saving and what we can patch up fairly quick. And, hopefully we'll be in better shape. But yeah, we've got a lot more repaired stuff now than we did have.
right. Well, the best part is you sort them, you put them in a burn pile, and you segregate them on your trailer and take them home. And be like, these are going on the burn pile. These are getting fixed, and I'm fixing them in the heated barn. Like I'm not outside.
Yeah.
No, and I was told, Corey told me, he's like, you're not allowed to not be here for setup anymore because like there was shit that like you'd handle that I don't have to worry about. And since you weren't here for setup, I had to try to figure it out, and it didn't make sense. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm the one who handles it. I make sure this all gets done. And that's the nice thing of being needed or wanted, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's also like, what happens when I can't be here? What happens if I die, right? Or I'm incapacitated in the hospital. I'm like, what are we gonna do? Like, someone's gonna have to figure it out, But this is like even in the professional world, right? Like, you always got to have a backup. You always got to be training your replacement. Don't train your replacement to be better than you though, because then you do get replaced. But
So that's my whole mentality. It's a very old school type mentality. I very much so. So in my day job, I'm a maintenance supervisor, and I like to have that next person up in a position where they're able to run things the same as if I was there, where there's very little hiccups when I'm off. Last year, I tried to blow my index finger off my hand and had to take some unexpected time off. And thankfully, my backup, Tommy's a great guy. And got another fellow that works with me, Zach. He did a phenomenal job. And those two were able to carry on, just like I was there. And those guys did a heck of a job in my absence. But you never know when that's going to happen. So if you do wind up in a position where, all the eggs are put in one basket, that's kind of a dangerous proposition because you never know when something's going to happen that's going to sideline someone.
right. Well, like for example, right? Like so, one of the mornings of setup of Area 5, a couple people got their window smashed in at the hotel. Someone's grandmother passed away, and we didn't know, like, well, is this person going to stick for the weekend or is he going to leave? It's like,
Yeah.
you never know, right? You always got to be able to leave good enough notes, or be able to pick up the pieces and make it work.
Well, and that's another thing. Like if you're in the middle of a match and somebody takes tablets home and something happens to that individual or their vehicle gets broke in, what do you do then?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to you got to think outside the box because there's always possibilities of something happening.
Right, always possibility, right? Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, especially when I do stats for a match, I'm just like, I'm not taking anything back to the hotel. Like,
Yeah.
it stays at the range. Like, we're very fortunate that Red Feather Outfitters let us use. We get to use that back room as the match office. We kind of commandeer that whole hallway plus the heart of the building. Tyler's awesome. Like Tyler's super helpful when he's there, and he's like, "What do you need? Okay, I'll go get it done."
Well, and how phenomenal of a facility is that we've got the pistol bays all right there. We've got the storefront right there. I've got contacts for other stores that are in the area. So there's been several times we've had competitors at a major that didn't have what they needed. So I start making phone calls, and if Red Feather can't help them out, I'll see if I can't find someone locally that can. And it's pretty phenomenal to be able to have resources right there and be able to take care of things.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and the nice thing is, it's all right there. Like the Cardinal Shooting Center is all right there. It makes it simple and easy. The only thing is, like, Corey and I, there was early talks of like having like a permanent match office somewhere other than in the building, which would be kind of cool. But it's like, I like being in the building but it's also a pain in the butt sometimes to be in the building. Now that we have a key, it's not so bad.
Right.
Like when you had to like wait for somebody to let you in, and it's like, it's O'Dark 30. I needed to be in here 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But the facility is great. Like the guys are super easy to work with. Dane was super helpful with the turning target stages at both matches, and
Yeah.
like at Area 5 when it went down, at the change of a flight, like it was going into the last flight and it took a crap, and it's like one of the match directors, Mr. Fix It Leif and Dane, they were hauling over there and like, we got to fix it now. Let's go. So, and that's one of his babies is playing with the turning targets. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's really easy to deal with those guys there. It's like, especially when we didn't have a key, you tell them what time we needed to be there, they'd be there. I mean, Brian wouldn't quite be so happy when he had to grumbly open the building by himself.
Right.
But it is quite nice to work with those guys.
Well, and I've been having a lot of conversations with them too. They're putting a lot of effort into making that facility even better. The shelter houses are pretty awesome.
Yep.
So those are getting added on. They've resurfaced all of the bays over there. They just recently patched all the walls on range 2. So I've been having some conversations with Brian over there about what we can do to try to protect those freshly repaired walls. But they want to make it better, and they want to get feedback from people about what can we do better to make you want to come back. And I think that's the right mentality, and to see it grow and not only have it so close by, but to be able to be over there and be part of this thing growing and getting better. I see all too many times where, facilities and people will get stagnant. So they get to where they're happy and then they just stop. And I think that that's a mistake. But yeah, they're really wanting to make this into something special. And I think we're heading in the right direction.
Right. Like even like the golf cart corral, right? Like for people just to, when Corey and Dan is like, well, can we charge for people? And then we just get the golf carts here from the shotgun zone. And then, people can pick them up right from there. They don't have to travel. They don't have to car kiddie pool down and pick them up. And it makes things nice and easy. Now, did they take out some of the rocks in front of the green Connex so I don't get sit and spin? Thank you for checking out another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our partners when you are available. We have always, as the title sponsor, D2 Custom Guns. We've got Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, 2 Alpha Apparel, Range Panda, Laugh and Load, Hunter's HD Gold, and Southern Bobby Q. Now, thank you. Let's get on with this episode.
We're not there yet. So they did just get their compactor back up and going. So they're going to start reseating some of the gravel, but we do have some really soft spots there in that parking lot. Um, they did spread quite a bit of that out, so it's
Mhm.
not nearly as bad as it was. The green Connex is actually what I was working on this past weekend. So I was down in that area, but I mean, my tractor would almost get stuck at times.
Mhm.
So I get where you're coming from.
Well, and then it's one of those things like it's one of those don't stop, don't have to stop exactly at the kind. I always will try to make up the loop around that soft spot and then like pull back into bay 12 right there. Like if I
Yeah,
got to sit somewhere, because then I could back up through the mess or I can go right back around the Green Connex when that's kind of more opened up,
yeah.
and then zip up through that hill. And we've talked a couple times about possible storage solutions for there. I mean, the possibilities are endless at that facility. I mean, it seems like they've got all the money they can and they want to put into it. They can put into it. They just got to see the return on investment or make the facility nice. So,
We are talking about some storage solutions for over there, so I think that we're going to see some changes to that as well.
mhm,
One of the things that I would really like to see us do is get that parking lot in better shape because at one of the Falling Steel World Series, we
mhm,
actually had a gentleman that showed up and his cousin was with him, and his cousin needed to use an electric wheelchair, and the parking lot just wasn't the greatest at that point in time. So he wound up just pulling his minivan around there and watching from the side of that. But they're making changes and they're going to make improvements. They're
mhm,
adding ramps to the shelter houses there, and they're seeing those things to make it more accessible. So definitely making improvements.
mhm. That's good to hear. I mean, those shelters are awesome. I like that there be shelters so that you're not under all the RO tents.
Hmm.
I know Cardinal Practical Shooters bought really nice RO tents, the nice
Yeah,
13 by 13 ones. So hopefully we can eventually cycle out all the $50 Walmart special ones that we bought that have
yeah.
been obliterated by every form of weather.
Well, and that's
Um,
one of the things we need to do is go through, and some of that stuff needs to just get thrown out.
oh yeah, the blue Connex needs to be gutted, pulled all out into the dirt, and then like, all
Yeah.
right, we're gonna put. I don't know. I'm a person of liking shelves. Like, if something can go on a shelf, it makes things like you don't have to trip over it. It might take a little bit of floor room, like wall space up, but like a shelf to be like, all right, these signs get hung up over here, right? Or so
Well,
you,
yeah.
you like
It's dead space, so you may as well use it.
right or
So we actually put some hooks up in the green Connex, so we've been putting all of the activator cables up on
hmm
the wall. That way they're not getting all knotted up and tied up together, and just trying to reorganize it, make it a little bit cleaner, and it makes it so much nicer because now you get to see a spot where it goes. So it's kind of like the 6S concept.
oh
You
yeah,
know, everything needs to have a place, and we can just kind of make it happen and maximize the space that we have.
exactly, yeah. 6S Kaizen,
Yep.
a little bit better. Exactly. And it drives you nuts when it's like I go into the double wide over there, and it's like, did somebody barf? Like they literally like they get two steps into the double wide. Eh.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. So then you got to move all this to then get into the back. Now, mind you, there's a million things of targets and target packs in the back of that double wide.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why are we like club matches? Let's use,
Usually what we're looking for is at the bottom of that.
yeah, exactly. Or and then the banners are all on top of it. I'm like, guys, we need some other way to sort these banners, something. So, like some simple system. Like I told Dan, like we need to get some racking system in there. Like even if you open up those target packs and put box lids, put them, keep them in those boxes, but then write, full size target, half slasher USPSA, right? Like you just write on them and you're like, we know we need, we know we have, like instead of stacks and stacks of boxes.
Well, that's just like some of these hardware stores you can go to and you can buy distribution center style racking fairly cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something like that would be a godsend to be able to give you more shelving space to utilize height versus floor space.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and it's no fault to our guys or the Cardinal guy, or the Red Feather Outfitter guys. It's like those double wides just to become a dumping ground of we don't want to look at it, get rid of it. Like it's got to go somewhere. It just can't stay here.
Right. Well, and so I think that's one of the things that I think can be beneficial from having the folks like myself, Chris, and Dave around is that, we're a little bit more local and we probably spend more time over there than most people. So we can help get some of that stuff straightened out and make it a little bit more organized and, make it more available for when we're doing majors. I am very thankful, and I never thought I would say this. I am very thankful that we're going to have fewer majors over there next year because it's going to give us some breathing room.
Only hopefully two. Well,
Yeah.
if you count the Steel Challenge match, it'll be like three.
Well, and the rumor is that the IDPA Nationals will be there, but
Oh,
I won't
oh
be taking part in that most likely. But
yeah, yeah. Now that'll be interesting. Of like, all right, are they going to put her crap? Like, you might have to be there for teardown and be like, that doesn't go there. That doesn't
yeah,
go there.
well, that is certainly going to be something we're going to run into because when I've had major matches that cleaned up after they were done. I spent an awful lot of man hours over there, and a lot of us did cleaning up afterwards and reorganizing because it was kind of like what you were talking about with the double wide, where things made it to the mouth of the Connex and they just kind of got dumped.
Yep.
But it was kind of critical that we got that straightened out, especially as we were going into Area 5, because I knew that turnaround was just going to be a monster.
Oh, absolutely, an absolute monster, and it can only get worse, right? Like, it's like,
Mm,
oh, it's fine as it. No, it just keeps getting worse and worse.
yeah, if you ignore it, it's going to get worse.
Right. It's like your mom telling you to clean your room, and you're like, oh no, I'll just put it all under my bed, and then she's like, yeah, no, you're gonna clean out your room and move your bed, and then you know what I mean. Like, you can only hide it in the closet for so long until until it,
Oh yeah,
yeah. But yeah, so you're always there. I'm glad too. There's only going to be a couple. I mean, some big ones like Buckeyes in June now.
yep.
Yay! Hopefully less shitty weather.
Well, and that goes back to the whole thing. I can do cold and I can do rain, but I don't like to do both. So hopefully, even if it does, but it's not going to because we got the waterproof targets,
Yep.
the shelter houses, and they seem to be holding the weather at bay. So I think
Exactly.
that that'll be a better time frame for that. Plus, having set up hopefully around Memorial Day, that will open up a little bit more time for me to take off of work because the last 2 years when I've been helping out over there, I have spent anytime there's a major, I spend every day there that I'm not at work, and some days that I do go to work, I'll go over there and work and then head in, and then when I get off, I'll come back. And as you alluded to earlier, I oftentimes get the doctor recommended 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day, uh, but sometimes you've just got more stuff that you need to do than you just have to sacrifice for it.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And it's just all the extra work, and it's like you burn both candles at both ends, and it's like eventually it's like, I'm tired, I'm done, I'm burnt out, right?
Yeah, usually the end of the season, I get about 1 weekend away from there, and going into it, I think how great it's gonna be to have the season over with, and then by that next weekend, I'm itching to get back out there and do something.
Hmm. Well, and you've got your idea of your task list that you want to do, and that's the like the type A personality or the people we are, right? We want to make things a lot better, so it's like we always have a checklist or something like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and as I've alluded to and made, it's like a checklist or a wish list of what I want to get done, right? Like, so I'm one of the match directors for Area 5 that's now in Michigan for 26 and 27, and I've got all these ideas I want to do, right? So we just put in 4 new bays at that facility, which was freaking awesome. Like, we put them in, like, they quoted us for $6,500. It cost us $4,000, just to move the dirt we had, and I was like, all right. So, and I'm like, all right, well, what else can we do with this kind of money? I mean, we're ended up going to get those bays hydro seeded instead of just trying to seed them. So,
Right,
but that reminds me, I have to send an email. I gotta leave myself a note because I gotta. Being the club secretary, I do have to send that email.
right. Well,
Email.
shouldn't somebody have sent this?
Yeah,
It
well,
was
it's more
you.
like, yeah, it's like stay off the bays. Email. Base. Got it. Yep. See, now I'll forget. But anywho, I wrote it down. That's what matters is that I
Yeah,
remember to write it down. No, so and I've got all these ideas, but the nice thing is like, okay, this is a winter project. I can focus purely on this over the winter, or this I can work on during the spring. And you can break up the projects, right? But I do quite enjoy the not shooting part of the winter. I mean, I do itch and I want to get back to dry firing and practicing and whatnot, but it's not very nice to shoot an open gun indoors at an indoor range.
Nope.
So it's bad enough outside at the concrete base, but indoor matches kind of are mean when I do that. So
My friends hate it whenever I break my open gun out. So I've got a Tanfoglio Domina Extreme, and especially when I'm shooting major ammo, they do not want to be anywhere near me because they develop headaches real quick.
well, you don't. I mean, that's all that matters. Is like, it just goes
Right.
around me.
I'm good.
Well, and I'm one of the odd cases. I only wear inner ear protection. I don't wear muffs or anything when I'm shooting at all or ROing. Like I just put the little custom molded inner ears in and just call it a day.
Right.
And I've never had a problem with that. But some people are like, no, I got to wear muffs and plugs, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Well, part of my problem is that I actually ruptured my right eardrum when I was younger, and so the hearing is compromised on that side, and I like to maintain the left side as much as I can. One of those things that you adapt to, but I've learned how to accommodate for injuries over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, you got to just accommodate for the injuries. So, so you recently took a You've taken a couple classes for practical shooting, right? Like you've taken a
Yeah,
couple Steve Anderson classes, and this most recently you took a Tim class, right?
yeah,
And you realize that we have not been monetizing our greatest asset, and that is Miss Daisy and her hugs.
yeah, 100%.
So we need to get on a pay structure. We'll just send Laura around in the is it a mule? Well, it's like a side by side.
Yeah.
We'll just send her around with a QR code so they can Venmo money to her, and it's like you may pet the dog, you may get hugs.
Daisy is convinced that everybody that showed up to a major at Cardinal this year was just there to see her.
I mean, it made her day though.
Yes, so she absolutely loves and adores everybody, and I think that we couldn't ask for a better mascot. And I have people that I've never met that come up to me on the range at different matches and start talking to me about Daisy. And that dog is far more famous than I'll ever be. Everybody just loves and adores her, and she's so chill. She keeps her little ear pro on, her eye pro. She'll go for a nap on the side by side, and then when people need some emotional support, they'll come up and get some good luck loving on her, and she's happy.
Yep, that's what I said. Laura just needs a little Venmo QR code and be like, yeah, pay up. Oh, you got your emotional support? That's $5.
Yeah, and it'd be a bargain.
Oh yeah, people would be like, "Oh, that's easy. I'll pay $25." But well, and then you can't miss Laura on the side by side with the unicorn
The
hanging off the roof.
unicorn.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
eventually gonna make you get a fake unicorn mount and just like mount it to the top.
as long as it's fake and we're not using a pony and adding horns to them, I'm good with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's just gotta be fake. We can take a mount like a foam mount and then make it look all fake. Yeah.
Right.
We can
I'll be honest with you. She is all about the unicorns and the socialization and everything. And she has easily been the absolute best addition to my life that I've ever had, because she has added an entirely different level of calm and the social aspect to my life that I never had before. So yeah, she wants to have the unicorns and everything. I'm completely cool with that. I built her the glitter Glock that has the purple glitter grips that have a unicorn on them, and the whole thing is PVD coated, even the internals. And like I said before, whatever gets her interested in it is she seems to really enjoy the shooting crowd. You couldn't ask for a better group of people than in this sport. I have personally been on the giving and receiving end of equipment, be in the middle of a match and have something go wrong, and people just magically pull what you need out of their range bag, and they're like, "Here, go fix it." And the only other place I've ever seen that was when I raced dirt cars in my younger days, and there were a lot of good folks there that would do something similar. But I see a lot of people that are kind of intimidated to get into the shooting sports because maybe they don't know the sport that well. Go to a match. Go to a match. I've had people that have showed up to watch a match that I've literally handed them an entire holster and belt set and been like, go to the store and buy some ammo and you can run it. They're in my squad. They're not going to run off with my gear.
Mm-hmm.
And just give them everything they needed to go shoot their first match and be like, the first one's free. You got to bring your stuff next time. But
Right.
getting people involved and just the overall community aspect is amazing.
Oh yeah, the community is wonderful. Like everyone's gonna be willing to share your gear, and that's the cool thing, right? Everyone's willing to, and is very helpful in that regard. As you kind of mentioned, it's not a lot of communities. It's everyone's out for themselves. But I mean, and then you're gonna find those good people who are like, yeah, here's a wrench. Here's your gun went down. Do you need parts? Do you got tools? I had my gun. I loaded a piece of ammunition way too long. It seems like, or something, or the crimp was just not as tight. I pulled a bullet apart in my gun, which was annoying.
Yeah,
So, and of course, you got powder everywhere at that point, especially being 9 major. It's like 8 grains of powder, and it's like, oh
yeah.
great, now it's all over the gun. They're like, well, I got my whole toolkit back in the car. I'm like, no, I got plenty of tools in this bag. So, which was super cool. Everyone was super willing to help. The worst part is it's like I don't have a canned air in my bag. Like so that's
Yeah.
one thing. It'd be nice to be like, that'd be nice, but it takes up way too much space. It'd be like blow all the powder all out of the gun, and
See, that's something I'll have to add to my kit.
yep. It's just one of those things. It's like you don't think about it until you need it, and it's like, damn it,
It's like insurance. You don't need it until you do.
right? Well, now if I was at Cardinal, I could be like, all right, go give me the pancake compressor, and go give me the
Right.
like done, blow it out. Should just build a safe table inside the yellow Connex.
Right.
We pretty much could. That yellow Connex holds a lot of stuff for how little it is.
Oh yeah. No, it's fairly well put together too.
Yeah.
Like most of the stuff is organized well enough in there. You can find what you're looking for when you go in.
Yep. Exactly. Now, so I was getting back to your training classes, right? So you've taken a couple from Steve. You just took
Mhm.
one from Tim. Um, what was the biggest thing you took away from Tim's class? I know we kind of talked about that in person, but what were your big takeaways from Tim's class?
So I'll tell you that having taken Steve's class in the spring, I learned some of the same concepts, but it's interesting to me how different instructors will teach you things differently. So they definitely have different teaching styles. Tim, very much so, is about the fundamentals. And I think that that's great because when you boil it down, the guys that are going and the gals that are going to shoot worlds
Mm-hmm.
are doing the fundamentals. They're just doing them on autopilot because they've done them so much. What I loved about Tim's class was that he was able to isolate for each individual shooter what they were doing and what they needed to improve upon. And he was able to present those things in a way that you would see immediate changes with the application.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so he actually used me for an example when we shot our stage because I was letting the targets draw me deeper into positions than I needed to go to. So he actually used my run as an example to show just how much time that I'm losing by going further into those positions that I needed to. And so when he pointed it out, it was one of those things where it was like, how didn't I see that? And so the entire time that I was getting ready to go up to make my second run, I think some of the people thought that I was possessed because I was literally just walking around and I was mentally going through each one of the positions and what that was going to look like. Because I think that as you start to build the skill set in USPSA, you have to be able to run on autopilot. You have to be able to run subconsciously. So
Mm-hmm.
the entire time I was making that run subconsciously. And with that second run, using his coaching, I was able to cut, I believe, 4.5 seconds off my run. And I had similar hits, but I did throw 2 mics on it, and those were completely mental errors. In that I wanted to get to the swinging steel because it was one of the stages that were left over from IPSC Nationals. And I think everybody can agree that the swinging steel, you either loved it or you hated it. But I came into a paper target and I drug off that target too fast trying to get to the steel. And it did cost me some points, but I was able to run that stage faster than I ever would have thought that I could.
Mm-hmm.
So something that we had talked about was you've established a new level of speed at that point. Now bring your accuracy back to it because, you know, USPSA, IPSC, all of that, you're looking for that triangle of power, speed, and accuracy. And so it's all a balancing act for that. And it made me look at stages differently after that. But I really appreciated the fact that a lot of the things that we were doing were basic fundamental stuff that I think sometimes people forget about. So when people start chasing speed, they start to think that it's acceptable to throw 7 Charlies on a stage. And you really have to kind of find that balancing point. And Tim did a really good job being able to teach that.
Right. Well, and especially like the hit factor math kind of thing too. Like
Yeah,
what is acceptable for the scoring zones, your division, and the quote unquote time of the stage, right?
right.
Like being able to figure, all right, this is a 15-second stage, right?
Yeah.
How many acceptable Charlies are allowed? Shooting 90 to 95% of points for
Hmm.
your division. You know, being major, like I shoot myself shooting major, I can drop significantly more Charlies and be acceptable within that 90 to 95 percentile. But my speed's got to be there and my hits still have to be there as well.
Yeah.
Because a Charlie is only down 1 point. So if
Yeah.
simple example, if it's a 100-point stage and I want to be at 95% of points, I can drop 9 Charlies on the 100-point stage.
Right.
So I can drop 9 points. So I can drop 9 Charlies or a few less Charlies in a delta.
Yeah.
But the simple fact is like you just have to be able to. The math has to work.
Yeah. And so the next monthly match that we had, the last stage that we shot on that day, I had my stage plan down, knew what I was going to do. There was a partial no shoot that was kind of hidden back. You had to get in an awkward position to get it. And when I got up to that point, I was aiming at the available area of the target. And with shot calling, I was able to see that I threw a mic, and I knew that I threw a mic, but I also knew that if I rushed it and I tried to throw another shot, I was probably going to catch a no shoot. So I ate the mic, but I had already done the math in my head and knew that if I stuck to my stage plan and I kept my time acceptable, that the rest of the hits were going to make up for it. And I think I wound up fourth overall on that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's risk versus reward, and for me, that target wasn't worth the risk. But if you stand there and you debate about it,
Mm-hmm.
you've already killed every advantage that you had. So you could go ahead and throw an alpha on, and it's not going to make a difference at that point if you stand there and fumble around and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the risk versus reward and knowing what you can do and what's worth it on the stage for the overall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh darn it! I lost my my next question, but let's see if I can remember it or not. So I guess I'll merge into this question. Do you have any training courses you plan on taking in 2026?
So it sounds like we've got Tim set up again. My buddy Eddie is working on that. So it looks like Tim will probably be back during the Labor Day holiday to Cardinal. I still want to get Steve back out there again. I am open to taking some classes, but it is tough for me to get away from Cardinal. But I'll tell you that I learned a lot from both of those guys, Tim and Steve. And like I said, they've got different teaching styles. Steve is very high energy, which
Yep.
doesn't affect me at all, but I could see where some people might be a little bit put off by that. But he wants you to be successful. And Tim does just as well. Tim just has a little bit of a different way of coming at it. He's got a little bit more of a teddy bear approach to it. I'm sure he'll really appreciate me saying that. But when it's time to be serious, like if there is a safety issue, he is 100%. You don't want to get on that side of that guy.
Mm-hmm.
but he has a little bit of a softer approach to be able to kind of push you in the direction that you need to go to. So I think that there is a lot that can be learning from different people. But I am completely open to trying to get some more folks out there. Um, Rob Epifania is another guy that I've talked to a lot, and I had joined his accelerator program for a spell. There's a lot of good information there too. But yeah, there's a lot of really excellent people out there to learn from, and yeah, I'm all about trying to learn. This year, I've grown more in USPSA than I thought was possible, and today I'm a better shooter than I ever have been before. And this was really a relearning year for me. So last year with the hand injuries, I had to relearn a lot of things, and this was also the first year that I've shot USPSA and Steel Challenge and didn't suffer a significant injury at some point during the season. Because 2023, I was dealing with a torn rotator cuff the entire year. And going into 2024, I had actually re injured it again because I actually got to have one of those wonderful violent encounters in my driveway at my house on New Year's Eve of 2023 and re injured that shoulder.
Yeah, that's a nice thing is you're able to learn and grow and stop injuring yourself. At least
You know what?
do it at work, so then you get paid for it.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yep, it's not Laura's fault, right?
No.
Just because she needed it done doesn't mean it's her fault, right?
So that's another thing that I really appreciate about her is that she is very calm in the heat of the moment when something is bad. If I have something dangling off my body that shouldn't be, she managed to stay as calm as I do while we address the situation. So she does an excellent job of being able to keep her composure, and in the time that's critical, she's able to keep it together, and I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, and without hi guys, the dogs decided to come back in, I guess. What's up? No, and that's the coolest, right? Having the spouse that's able to be calm and handle the situation as needed and whatnot. Oh, now they're gonna bail. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But it's always nice to have the spouse who's super supportive in what we do and being allow us to play our pistol games and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we're able to support one another, and I think that that's really important to be able to maintain a relationship, especially with the kind of time commitment that this sport takes. Um, you know, I see the guys at the range more than I do my own family, and that's not something that I'm horribly proud of, but it's the truth of the matter that we spend more time working with that community than I do with my own flesh and blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's it's one of those things. Yeah, you choose your family, right?
Yeah,
That's the family you choose sometimes because they're always good people, and you don't have at the end of the day, you're not blood related, but it's okay. It's almost like you are.
right. That's what we've got a community over there. We'll do anything to help one another out, and I think that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's the nicety, right? Is we at the end of the day, we all choose to be there, and it's one of those things that we get along because we want to, and it works out well for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Justin, do you plan on having any classes that you're going to teach in 2026?
So one of the things that I started this year is I actually became a U.S. Law Shield instructor. So I'm going to be facilitating some training over there through U.S. Law Shield. I've had a lot of folks that have reached out to me that want to get their concealed handgun license in the state of Ohio. So I'm going to be doing some of that. My bread and butter, what I really enjoy doing is one-on-one training with folks. So I've got some folks that come to me and we'll go over and we'll work together and I'll do a basic assessment and kind of see where they're at and see what sort of things that we can do to help improve. And those are the folks that come back time and time again for more because they get to see that immediate improvement with the techniques that I'm teaching them, and then I'll send them home with homework for dry fire drills and some live fire drills. And I'll tell them, I want you to work on this and we'll take notes. And when they come back, we'll reassess and kind of see where we're at. The biggest thing that I want to work on with people is build accuracy first and get you to where you can hold those nice groups, and we'll work from varying distances anywhere from 5 yards out to 25 yards. And a lot of people don't do any kind of pistol work at 25 yards. That's one of the things that I found, is that outside of the competitive group, a lot of people don't do any longer range pistol work because most people think that they're just not accurate enough. And as well as I do, pistols can be very accurate at those distances.
Oh
So
yeah.
once we build the foundation for accuracy, then I'll start introducing a little bit of speed, and I want to start to see kind of where everything falls apart at. And then that's our next point where we're going to work. So I really enjoy getting to do that. You know, the one-on-one stuff is great, especially if you have people that don't want to get together in a group environment. Say maybe they're a little bit intimidated by it, so they can come work with me one-on-one, and we can kind of build their confidence up to where maybe they'll go to one of those classes. We have a young lady that came and did some one-on-one training with me this year, that she was actually in Tim Herron's class, and she got quite a bit out of it. She really enjoyed herself.
Right. Yeah, and that's the cool thing, is that she's able to take more instruction and get some more feedback and coaching,
Yeah.
and especially nice when they're kind of local too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And that's a really cool thing too, is to be able to have local groups over there that um I struggle sometimes to find places that I can go and train. I'm not the best shooter in the world, obviously, but it is difficult to go to some of the local training facilities and be taught techniques that were popular in the 80s and 90s and act like that is cutting edge. So, you know, that's why I like to bring people in like Steve and Tim, and we can have some of that instruction where these guys know what we're doing and know what direction to push us in.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing, is when you need to go seek a more higher level instruction or different instruction, right, to get through a learning curve or a plateau.
Hmm.
Because we don't always know everything, right? Or we might be able to see the problem, but we don't know how to address the solution.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love about being able to set cameras up at different angles, is to be able to watch things that I can't see with my own eyes when I'm shooting. But if I can get my buddies together, so we do have practices over there that we shoot some USPSA type practice. And if I can get some experienced eyes together and they can see some of the things that say I'm doing, and I'll do the same for them, then we can coach one another and help build our skills up that way too. And I think that's been pretty beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the coach and the peer to peer stuff is definitely helpful. There, finally got him out of the room. Um, but no, yeah, the peer to peer is definitely helpful, especially when you're with somebody who's a little bit better than you, and
Hmm.
kind of pushes you, or you're that better person for somebody else. So it definitely makes things a lot. There's some good learning out of it. And there's some good learning environment out of it.
Yeah. Well, my problem is too that I have a hard time turning the coach switch off. So we had a steel challenge match earlier this year with me and another shooter. He was B class and I was unclassified in carry optics. And so I'm going through and running my stages, and I'm putting down some pretty competitive time. I was running some high level A class runs, about to break over into M class. And when he would get up there and I would see him start to mentally fall apart, I would kind of coach him along and help get him back on track. And he seemed to really appreciate that. He actually wound up beating me by, I think, 3/10 of a second at the end of the match.
Mm.
But we both were able to elevate one another's game because we had someone that was of similar skill level, but we were pushing one another harder to try to achieve that next level, to try to put more distance between one another, and that was a really cool experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always it's what part of the sport is about, right? Being able to push your peer, and it's not like you want them to fail. You want them to be good, and uh, you want them to still be able to be at their best while you're at your best. And no one ever wants to see anyone's equipment go down either.
Right. No, I am perfectly happy when someone beats me and we're able to kind of talk through that. The only time that it really aggravates me is if I lose something because of equipment malfunctions. That's the only time that it really gets under my skin. But I want to see everybody around me succeed and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this year has been a lot of that. You know, we're bringing new people in, so occasionally we'll get people that'll stop over there at Cardinal while we're shooting a match, and they'll just kind of stand at the end of the bays and watch. So I'll go up and talk to them, make sure they've got eye protection on and hearing protection on, and I'll talk to them about it. And there's been several times that those people have come back and squatted up with me at the next match. And
Mm-hmm.
so we'll kind of go through that whole process with them. And, you know, we're getting more and more people involved that otherwise might not have. So, yeah, if I see you kind of lingering back and watching what we're doing, I'm going to come back and see what's up, see what we got to do to get you involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it gives them to come back. They come back to each match and they become a local staple, right?
Yep.
And that's when you know when they're hooked, right?
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing, too, you know, Dan and Corey and everybody, they really take care of the setup and teardown crews and the folks that work the matches. And that is an unclaimed opportunity for a lot of folks that don't help well with setup and teardown. So if you're one of the guys that comes and shoots a match and then you just jump in your vehicle and take off and you just leave the work to the rest of us, we're going to reap the rewards of that. And so if you want to get in on some of that stuff, you're going to have to start helping out because it is a tremendous help to have folks stick around and help us tear down or come over and help us set up because there is a ton of work that goes into these matches. And I think that a lot of people don't see how much work actually goes into it.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of people don't understand uh, all the intricacies of what it takes to tear down a match. And I mean, in reality, when we were there for the first IPSC Redemption match, teardown took us, maybe an hour, but everything was put away. Like,
Yeah.
connexes were locked and we could leave after the fact, right? There was no,
Yeah.
oh, we're done, but still 30 minutes worth of work still to do.
Yeah. And I can remember a time last year where it was, I believe, me, Dan, Corey, Chris, and Justin Messenger that were there. And that was it to tear down. And we were there for hours tearing down and putting stuff away. And that makes for an extremely long day. And especially when you watch folks that shoot their stage, their final stage, and then they run over to a safe table and they take their gear off and they jump in and they take off. And while you're tearing down, they're driving by waving at you. Thanks. It's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be here till dinner time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and yeah, there's always going to be those people, but eventually they get weeded out or they get told, hey, like I've seen some ranges, they lock their gate until teardown's done. Like,
Yeah.
there's not, oh, I gotta go, I'm 2 hours away. Like, no, like teardown's not done. You're not going, like, we're not opening the gate.
Yeah. And I get it. You know, sometimes things happen. And sometimes, you know, maybe you paid your money and you thought that was all you had to do. But yeah, helping out is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it builds relationships. You know, if you want to get further in the shooting sports, getting to know people, you know, if I wasn't helping out with these matches, I wouldn't be on here right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to come on and share part of my story.
Well, no problem. And you're a buddy of mine. And, we finally got really talking into more this year. And that's the cool thing about these matches. You get to, you build your community up. And I mean, I know Annette really appreciates her friendship with Laura and getting to hang out and chit chat at the matches. And it's always fun to, build those relationships with people. And that's always the cool thing, kind of being able to get to do this kind of stuff. And especially these podcasts to get people out there and more people to know their name, right? Because they might see you on the range, they might see me on the range, but they don't know me, they don't know you until they listen to this, and that's like, then they can feel like they can come up and walk up to you and talk to you and like have a conversation. It's like the icebreaker sometimes.
Right.
But we've talked a couple times. I've made sure to follow it myself, and you have your own YouTube channel that I didn't know about until quite recently.
Yeah, it's a small but growing channel. I don't get to put as much content on there as I would like. But it's one of those things that, you know, if I get a piece of gear that I like, or maybe I've got some sort of an issue that I like to share with folks and maybe show them how I'm going about trying to get that under control. And I'm going to try to do more of that over the off season and kind of show them some stuff. Um, one of the big things that I've got right now is a video up about my TX22 and some issues I had with it. And I think I found the fix right around Area 5, but of course I've been busy with matches. But it is interesting. So anybody that's watching, if you want the internet to tell you how dumb you are, start a YouTube channel. And everybody will share their opinion about everything that you're doing wrong, and they will let you know all about it.
Yes, there are. There are plenty of keyboard warriors.
But at the end of the day, if any of my content or any of my information helps somebody, it's worth it. You know, at the end of the day, I don't take anything on there personally. Say whatever you want. That's helping the algorithm. You know, it's
Oh
driving
yeah.
more people there. But at the end of the day, if somebody else is having that problem and I happen to stumble across the fix, cool. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to bash any one particular make or model or anything like that. I'm just trying to help people learn because let's just be honest. A lot of folks don't get out there and run their gear nearly as hard as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So if something's going to break, I'm looking at my Tanfolio, my limited optics gun right now, and I've got a Trijicon SRO on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why I have that because I know that it's going to stand up to the abuse that I put it through. So if I recommend a piece of gear, there's a reason for that, and it's because I've put it through the paces, and I know that it's going to hold up. So at the end of the day, if I spend more money to get that gear, but it lasts longer, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like somebody's R&D department.
Yeah. You got to have the R&D and you got to test it out and you see if it works or not.
So, and that's another thing that I tell people. So a lot of folks go and they buy a brand new gun and they don't so much as clean it and they start carrying it. You do you,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that guns malfunction. They're mechanical pieces of equipment. They will fail. And I can tell you that there have been several guns that I've had that have never once malfunctioned. And as soon as I get in the middle of a match, it jams or something breaks.
Yep.
And so, what's to say that's not going to happen in the real world if you have to defend yourself where the stakes are far higher than they are on the range? So, test that equipment, see how it works, and make sure that it's actually going to work versus just going off of it's new, so it should be fine.
Right. Yeah. It's fine or it's zeroed enough, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I bore sighted it. It should be fine.
Well, and I love it when people come to me and they tell me something like, "Well, yeah, I was shooting this at 21 yards." Really? Because it's a mile off, and we're at 21 feet. Well, this is the distance I was shooting it at 21 yards. No, no, a yard is 3 feet. So, you know, sometimes that little bit of context makes a huge difference. So,
Yeah.
personally, I try to zero almost all of my stuff at 25 yards just because I know that we're going to be pretty good there. And for all intents and purposes, anything closer in, I'm going to be fairly zeroed on.
Right. I'll start at 10. Like I'll get it pretty dialed in at 10 just to be like, all right, we're good here. Now we'll go back to 20 and see where we're at from there and then
Right.
make the adjustments or well 25. But yeah, it just the shock of how people don't know either that they need to zero a gun or whatnot. And you know, I've had a couple people at work lately like, "Oh, I just bought this gun. It comes with a red dot." I'm like, "All right." And he's like, "If I have any issues with his red dot, I'm going to come to you." I'm like, "Okay, good cuz you're going to we need to make sure you get squared away on that."
So here is another really handy tool that a lot of people don't realize come with almost all of that gear, and that's an instruction manual.
Mhm.
So we can actually read those. As guys, oftentimes we are too proud to do that, but more
Right.
often than not, we can get a lot of answers from there. And
Yeah.
then the little handheld communication device that we generally have in our hands, they're also a really good source to find info.
Yeah, but they're also not good to find some info because then you're like,
Oh,
what?
100%.
Because then you're like, what is he talking about? You know,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. There's a lot of good and bad information on the internet.
Hmm. Yeah, Daisy was actually just up here visiting me.
Yeah, she's like, Dad, Pickles is being mean to me.
Yeah, we need to go snuggle.
Yeah. Well, and it's getting that time, so Justin, so if people want to reach out to you, they want to talk to you, what's the best avenue for them to do that at?
Probably either find me on Facebook, um, Justin Skeens. I'm not trying to hide from anybody. They can also email me, Justin at shootohio.com. And then if you get a chance, swing over and check out the YouTube channel, Skeens Handgun Training. Always on there trying to do stuff. And I do keep track of the comments, so I'm always trying to look at that and answer any questions that might get dropped over there.
Mm-hmm. Reminds me, I got to pull that back up because I got to tag that. Boom, there we go. Yep. Hi, Daisy.
So as she knocks all my stuff off my reloading table.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart, though.
She's super happy.
Yep. She's just like, it's time to cuddle. It's 9:00 our time. It's time to cuddle.
It's time to go to bed, Dad.
Yeah. Well, she's like, why aren't you in bed yet? It's time to go to bed. But it is the time that I normally do wrap these up. So Justin, man, dude, I had a blast having a conversation with you on the internet. It's more so people can know about you, hit you up. I'll tag all the social medias that I can, and I thank you for hanging out with me this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been a pleasure, and like I said, I really appreciate the opportunity. If anybody's ever out and about over there around Red Feather or Cardinal, keep an eye out for me. I'm probably there somewhere.
Yep. We'll find out if Laura ever kicks you out of the house. You'll be just living in a Connex.
Pretty much.
Exactly. But Justin, man, thank you, brother, for coming on. And to the listeners, get out and do the things. I will see you on the next one.